and they're highly, highly efficient. And for me, I'll speak more to it later. There's an opportunity, but this is where we really the silos within different departments as well, to increase that kind of efficiency to truly become smart.
Thank you very much. Is there any other questions coming from the floor? Okay, if we don't have any other questions, then I'm still going to go into, I guess, asking and extracting information from you all. Everyone who is listening, that the time is available for these questions, but I will still like to extract more input from our panelists. So, if we are kind of giving our conclusions from your, I'm sorry, can I recognize you, Tabu?
Okay. Thank you, Monique. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. A little bit of an echo, but we can hear you.
Okay. No, thanks, ladies. Great presentation, great discussions right there. My question is directly to Palesa. I heard her talking about skills development, which they are offering, which is free. Let me try to switch off this one and connect to another one. Hey, I've got a problem with my machines here.
Yes.
Yes. I was saying to Sis Palesa, I heard her talking about free training for IR-related programs that are provided to communities. So I wanted to check how is it done, and then how do people get access to those skills development programs? Thank you. Yeah.
That was Lisa. How to get access to your skills development programs.
Hi, Tabo. Sorry, Tabo, I couldn't get very clear. I think I lost you a little bit. Can you, if you don't mind, repeat the question?
So essentially the question that Tabo was asking, how do you get access to, you noted that there's free training within the STEAM area. So he's asking, how do you get access to it? Is there a web? What other criteria is required in order for us to gain access to it? So, for example, are you only dealing with schools, or can an individual approach for the?
Oh, okay. And this program in schools, since we are still busy with our cloud-based studio, where it will be accessible to everyone. But at the moment, we find sponsors that link to sponsor certain schools, and they are affiliated, and then they are on our database, and then we run programs that we run either a program or Saturday school program or afternoon program, where we also STEM clubs, where the class on their own, and then we also have camps that we do during school holidays, where we take a number of few kids that are interested in the STEM-based careers, and we do the 10-day or 5-day STEM coding and robotics camping, and other opportunities like your global hackathons, where we expose these kids. So that we normally run campaigns to different schools that are sponsored by our partners. It is our desire to get as many kids as possible, but it also depends on the resources that we have currently. Individually, but since we are moving into trainings. We are very hard on our cloud-based STEM labs. So in the near future, we'll be launching our cloud-based STEM labs where every child or every school can affiliate or enroll to a number of programs that they can access, including the teacher development, where schools can enroll into our programs, and we run programs specifically for teachers. And yes, currently our program offer is from grade 4 to right up to matric. So I don't know if you have maybe a school that you were thinking of that you'd like us to go and showcase our program to, or you were just asking just to get more information. Currently, our website is down because we're working on but we do have a website. It's www.techsavvykids.co.za. We are active on our social media. You can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you.
Thank you. Lama, I see your hand. Do you have a question for the panel?
Yes, thank you, Monique. I think I was covered by Lisa on, the question that I wanted to ask around that there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, especially in township schools and also in the rural areas, because in most cases you find that a lot of these programs are concentrated in the cities, and that has been, the challenge with a lot of programs that are done. So my question was going to be, to what extent is there mass rolling out of all these programs, especially to disadvantaged kids, in the townships and also in the rural areas? Thank you.
Is there one particular panelist that your question is directed, Lulama?
Not necessarily, because if you the expertise of the panelists, they vary. I mean, Leslie spoke about the Timilokong project that they have as vets, and then you have the the dynamism of a pilot instructor and a qualified helicopter pilot, in Refilwe, and then somebody like Palisa who does a lot of these outreach programs in trying to get children. So any of the panelists, I'm sure they can have something to say about this, because it cuts across. Thank you.
Okay. Refilwe has her hand up, and then Leslie.
Thank you for that question. And maybe just give you a little bit of context with the work that we do at Girls Fly Program in Africa, which is pretty much sort of similar to what Palisa is doing. I think we've had some conversation in the past as well. But our target from the onset has been rural areas, because we're cognizant to the fact that all this information sometimes can be concentrated in urban or in big metros, just like Johannesburg. So we've been very deliberate in the last few years to make sure that, we target the kids in those areas. We're also cognizant of the digital divide. That, having said that, we've got all this social media. We're designing all these online platform, e-learning platform. But the fact of the matter is they don't reach, a majority of the population as well. And I think this is one of the, one part of the equation that we need to look at, how to create that infrastructure to make sure that these programs can be able to reach, those kids in the township. So one of the programs that we ran, for example, last year, similar to what Palisa was doing, was and robotic work, used technology to teach about aviation and space technology. And we literally used to go to the rural areas. We'll carry all the computers, about 50 laptop computers, and make sure that we brought. But one of that do all those programs, then we leave. We continue, practice code. So disrupting the thinking where technology comes in. Because a lot of times we think technology forms the integral part of everything, but technology is an enabler. And some of the basics that we need to get right is how do we start changing the mindset? And I think Leslie has spoken about it earlier on when in primary school. There's no technology involved there at all. There's no computers.
Sorry, it was Leslie. It was sorry.
So I think, like, in short, I mean, Simulopong has been branching, based since we've been a startup, supporting startups, and now we also in a growth phase. In the past 2 years, we've been getting a lot of requests across the country to either replicate Simulopong or to support other spaces in coming up. Now that we are more stable as an organization, we are ready to do so. Also, like, COVID has forced us, I mean, we were in the process of doing it anyway, but it's forced us to accelerate building processes and systems for scale. So even the fact that our own learners needed to start teaching them remotely, it's forced us to put in, those capabilities, which means, and a lot of our learners and interns are from under-resourced communities already. So now we can scale it now that we know how to work with our own learners in that context. Some of the challenges we are still facing is Wi-Fi. I mean, the digital divide, I think, is our biggest stumbling block to inclusion. So because of Wits University's contacts and because they were able to broker certain deals with the telcos, we would zero rate some of our sites to allow our learners to access our content. And like I say, they in various townships, rural communities spread across the country. But even so, even when there's network access, I'll look at Cosmos City as an example. Your house may be the house where there isn't good networks, like right next door. It could be quite perfect. So there's all of these sort of like granular details we need to out to be far more inclusive. But I think, for me, collaboration is key. We can't be all things to everyone. We want to do what we do excellently, but that's why we need great partnerships that can also replicate some of our work in other spaces. So we've got a good relationship with the Innovation Hub, and we're also looking at like how we can replicate some of our work, working with them in, for example, ICASI labs, that are quite widespread. A huge opportunity that I see we can drive forward is digital fabrication and micro manufacture. Now, when lockdown occurred, we didn't close our makerspace. So interesting again, getting the makerspaces. We immediately started producing PPE, but we also connected with makerspaces around the country where we shared our designs just to address a need. A big opportunity I see is, similar ability to access contracts, and we subcontract manufacture of those products into township economies and make those linkages. And I think that's where it applies.
Yeah, I mean, just just draw attention to what Rufila was talking about earlier. I mean, definition. If I'm to narrow the definition of the fourth industrial revolution, is really where we begin to have the augmenting of what is digital and human. So now what we could not do, digital will do that for us, whether it is software or robotics or half of these solutions. So, the part of discourse we've been having now is understanding the role of humans and humanity going forward if robots can do everything. But this should build a lot of confidence for us instead of scare us, because now we still have so many marginalized people. By the way, digitally marginalized, both from access, but even people in corporates with cell phones are slapped. Why that should what the fourth industrial revolution brings is that she closed the gap, because now you actually don't need to know how to code like we did back then. If you understand the problem you want to solve and can articulate that in clear steps, now you just even verbally communicate that. There's quite a lot of software where you can actually just say what you want done, and the solution itself will code it for you. So even people that are wanting to reinvent their careers, even as we think about, Sharon, why we say the biggest focus, and by the way, Economic Forum has the top skills required for 2020 and beyond. By the way, there's nothing technical in there. It's all problem solving, creativity, people management, conflict management. So even as we try to close that for our children, the biggest side of the coin that we need to lean into more is people management, problem solving, coordinating skills, all of that. Because digital does it. A robot will do it far better, will code far better than I can. And as we provide access to these technologies, robotics, they find us as a people ready to create beautiful things.
I see another hand to Mello. You have the floor.
If no one's answering, I will like.
No, Karabu, it looks like you wanted to come in there. Go ahead.
Yeah, very, very good. It's imperative to start making this distinction. What I was alluding to around this technology space is so broad, and you've got to find. We are seeing the commercialization of digital or the digitization process slash value chain, right? There are two categories of people that will play in this space, and there are those that will create platforms, and these are the ones that have to learn the right technology and be involved in the way. Africa, South Africa in particular, does not have enough of these. So what this means is that we are using platforms, we are customizing platforms for local use cases that were not designed to solve those kind of problems. And so we still need a lot more people coming in to create basically the infrastructure, the platform, the base in which we can now create use cases or use the space to solve very specific problems. Else, we will forever be struggling to make the technology work for us as Africans with our unique problems. Those are those people. Then you have the other two then, on the other side of the coin are those people then that take those very platforms and create the use case or solve a very specific example. I'll give you an example of, we have this platform called, starting an online business, right? With a online store, you can go in, create catalogs, and people can buy. That's a platform. But now we've got to figure out what kind of stores, for what, how do people buy? Do they buy for free? So someone creates a platform and someone then applies that to a real life problem. We don't have enough of both. Because we just at the beginning of this revolution, there is a lot more focus on the deep tech skills to develop and innovate around those platforms that are needed. And this is why you'll hear a lot of that. And we're nowhere near having done enough. But I think the opportunity, especially as we start thinking smart city, is how do we bring in as many people as possible that might not be tech savvy to actually start using these platforms, because in those use cases, they're actually simple. Umama can use her phone to collect payment for Amakwenya because someone has created a Zapper or, a SnapScan. So we still need a lot more people that are figuring out, how can I use Zapper? What else could I do to make it do? So to your point, no, it is not a waste. We need both, and we need them quickly.
Sufficient code created within by Africans, and it's severely women also behind coders. I mean,